Donald Trump is really so much like a child. He absolutely loves attention, but he also hates negative attention. However, Trump is still so desperate for attention, he continues doing negative things, then earning him negative attention. Considering the fact that Trump is not a fan of being criticized, I know that he is seething as Rachel Maddow has just obliterated Trump in an unscripted roast of his first 100 days. How's it going? My name is Hunter Avalone with Occupy Democrats. Welcome back to another video. Now, Trump is a lunatic. He's the circus. He's a freak show that somehow was voted into the White House. And Trump's nonsense is now getting so out of hand that even Bill O'Reilly, one of Donald Trump's biggest simps, is calling Donald Trump out.
He's a Salvadoran citizen who snuck into this country illegally. Now, he is in the system here because he did claim asylum, so they should bring him back. I've said that quite clearly. Trump administration's making a mistake not bringing the man back because the Supreme Court wants the man back. And if I'm President Trump, I don't want to alienate the Supreme Court, period.
I'm sure Bill O'Reilly is now woke, blue-haired, rhino, traitor, fake, what are the other buzzwords they use? In fact, even a former chairman of the RNC is blasting Trump and making known how skeptical he is about anything Trump says.
Moments ago, Zalinsky posted on social media that they had a, quote, good meeting and managed to discuss a lot. Just yesterday, Trump expressed optimism about ending the war in Ukraine, posting online that negotiations are, quote, going smoothly and that success seems to be in the future.
To this series of meetings, Michael, I mean,
Caroline, color me skeptical.
They haven't stopped. They have not stopped bombing
I
the
just think
Ukrainians.
people,
the Russians
Trump doesn't engage in diplomacy. All right, so can we stop pretending he does? He doesn't. The social media posts and all of that is just because the bottom line is his design has been drawn up by Russia. The plan he's pushing is a Russian plan.
I love when other Republicans actually have a semblance of a backbone to stand up to Donald Trump and just call him what he is, a clown. That's right, because all thanks to Donald Trump's insane tariffs, now we're seeing less jobs in this country, not more.
President Trump's chaotic trade policies just cost American workers yet again. Subaru announced it will slash imports of American-made vehicles to Canada, moving production back to Japan in a major blow to US manufacturing. The decision, driven by Trump's sweeping 25% vehicle tariffs, will phase out American-built Outbacks from the Canadian market after 2026, representing millions of dollars and thousands of cars lost. Subaru's leadership made it clear it's now cheaper and more stable to build overseas than to navigate Trump's unpredictable tariffs. Once again, Trump's so-called America First agenda is backfiring, shredding trade partnerships and driving jobs and production out of the US.
And now all of this has come to a head as Rachel Maddow completely obliterated Donald Trump's first 100 days in this hilarious and brutal unscripted roast. Take a look.
Let me just say, I mean, the 100 days, there's never been a president who has botched the first 100 days of his presidency more than Donald Trump has. And you don't have to take that as a subjective view. It's the view shown in scientific polling of the American public. The public is deeply, deeply, deeply against what Trump is doing. The Pew poll that came out this week, he's minus 19 points underwater in terms of his approval rating. If you ask the American people about what they feel about his handling of every single issue that you can poll on, he's underwater on every single one of them. And so he's been very radical in his first 100 days, and I think we knew that would be true, but I don't think we'd know that he would turn the American public, including a large portion of his own base, against him so quickly. The public would be willing again and again and again to go protest and say no and rise up against him, that he would fare so uniformly disastrously in court. He's just been clobbered in the court in dozens and dozens and dozens of cases already. So it's been a real, he's really flailed. It doesn't change his radicalism, but I think that's really the story of the first 100 days, is his failure and the American public saying no to him. The difference with the first term was going to be that he was going to be more efficient He was going to be better at doing what he wanted to do, and that's what we should brace ourselves for. And I actually don't think that's the way it's worked out. I think that he is definitely more ambitious in terms of the kind of radical change he wants for the country. I do think we're in the middle of an attempted authoritarian overthrow of American democracy. I mean, I think everybody who predicted that was right, but I don't think he's any better at it. I mean, you just think about the litany of mistakes, things that they acknowledge even are mistakes. Remember, right out of the gate, they tried to cut off all federal grants for everything. And then within 48 hours, had to take that back and say they didn't mean that. Remember Trump's big thing about, like, I've turned on the water in California. And immediately the Army Corps of Engineers was like, yeah, you just wasted all of the water that we had saved in reservoirs for the summer season. You know, the failure, the accidentally firing the Ebola prevention workers, accidentally firing the nuclear weapons people, accidentally firing the bird flu people, all of this stuff that they have done and then undone. It does reflect their radicalism and their ability and willingness to just destroy. But they haven't done a lot of it on purpose. They've done a lot of it despite themselves. And their incompetence is not a blessing. A lot of people glibly say, like, oh, you should have enemies that are this incompetent. They'll fall down. You don't have to trip them. But their failure has been has created wreckage in the U.S. government. It just means that they're not that good at doing what they're actually trying to do.
So now Donald Trump is getting roasted on virtually every mainstream platform. Bill O'Reilly is disagreeing with Trump. Even former chairman of the RNC disagree with Trump. Donald Trump's support is crumbling more and more every day, and it's only a matter of time until his entire administration comes crumbling down.